Hi guys, welcome to my latest Elite Dangerous video. I know it has been a while since my last proper video. That's all Odyssey's fault. Died again. Starting to spot a pattern with this game. So here we are at a penal colony where I've been doing work experience. Well, I call it work experience, but the judge called it community service. Look at this guy. Can you see it in his eyes? He just got back from hot and orbital. And he still only has a sidewinder. Unlucky. Right, first things first, listen to this.
Welcome to
It's an understatement to say that the Odyssey Alpha doesn't run very well on my system. I'm getting about 10-20 frames a second in stations and planetary bases, and that choppy audio is nasty. Anyway, I used this computer terminal to pick up a suitable mission to fail, and then went back to the guy at the Apex desk who sounds like a Dalek with congestion. I do really like the changes to the galaxy/system maps. I'm sure they've added extra blue circles around the planet to give a better feeling of rotation, and you can close right in from full system view down to planetary view now just by using the zoom control. And there's a new way to set your destination, which in my opinion is far less clunky. You simply hold down a key or a button, in my case it's A on the controller. More garbled audio. Oh god, it's actually painful after a while. I think this is the worst bit in terms of frame rate. Once you've booked the shuttle, it just drops right down. That's maybe 1 frame a second there. And the idea of attempting combat with this frame rate is ridiculous. Therefore, I tried it, and it got old real quick, so I started sticking to the places where things run smoother. These elevators are awesome though. You step into them, and a second later, you're on the floor you need. Down here, the frame rate improves quite noticeably. Just to make this next bit less painful, I'm playing it back at double speed. The sound is still glitchy, but it's less annoying this way. Once we get into the shuttle and out of the station, matters improve greatly. Now sadly you don't get to walk onto the ship yourself, instead you just stand inside this GTA mission looking circle. And hit board. At first it looks like you're gonna get to fly.
Welcome aboard. Make yourself comfortable.
And then he says, make yourself comfortable, and the thing takes off by itself. Now when we get out into space, I'll switch back to double speed playback because it's such a long journey, to make it bearable. Oh, we're almost up to 30 frames a second here. That's not so bad. And here we go. My pilot's name is Alfredo Cunningham, but I'm going to call him Kevin, Brian, or Steve as the moment takes me. Steve doesn't seem to be in any hurry to get lined up with the target destination. He's getting paid by the hour, presumably. And here we go, Super Cruise charging. Oh yeah. Now we get lined up with our target and we get to see how far away it is. 150k. Damn. Well, that's basically a 30-minute loading screen right there. And what can we do to keep ourselves entertained on this epic voyage? I think I'll see if we can strike up a conversation with our pilot, Kevin. Should I just hit him with the standard, so, busy tonight? Does he look like the kind of guy who might play video games? And maybe I should ask him whether he's engineered any of his modules. Nah, he might think I'm working out whether it's worth stealing. Spoilers, it's not. Right, HUD off, and let's see if Brian is in a chatty mood. It's like looking at the Stig, so it's hard to tell, but he looks like he's in a bad mood. And that's when it happened. There we were. Just two dudes flying from one insignificant planet to another. Hopefully nothing but time to kill, with the infinite boredom of time and space between us and our destination. Then Brian spoke.
Have you ever been to Earth?
Sure, I replied. Have you?
Not since the frame shift drive was invented. Can't go back there since I found out.
He said mysteriously. Found out about what? I asked.
The truth,
Was his short reply. About life, the universe, and everything? I inquired.
it's bigger than that. And why are you rudely staring that way as I talk to you?
Sorry, I said to Brian, but what is the horrible truth you discovered then?
Well, can you keep a secret?
He asked. As I wished to hear his secret, I of course automatically claimed I could keep a secret. And that is the secret I am sharing with you right now.
Okay.
He said, slightly lowering his voice as if our reptile overlords might hear us.
Have you ever tried to land on the moon?
Yeah, but you can't actually do it because of the exclusion zone.
That's not why you can't land on it.
Why then?
It ain't there, man. It ain't there. There is no such thing as the moon.
What? I exclaimed.
Yeah, what you've seen is just a hologram.
No way, I said. The moon exists. People have landed on it. A lot.
That's what they want you to think. But the moon ain't been there in a long time.
Why have I never heard this before? I asked, in an attempt to get Steve to expand on his assertion.
It's 'cause you've been indoctrinated by all the images of the moon you were shown in school. Your mind has been closed to alternative thinking. They don't want you to know the truth.
Who's they?
The space illuminati, of course, man. They got all this technology they captured from crashed alien ships back in the 20th century.
Really? I asked, incredulously.
Well, how else do you think they could make the entire moon disappear?
Okay, but I'm not sure I do think that.
Then you might be already too far gone. I'm detecting an anomaly in the airlock. Would you just quickly go down and take a look for me?
Having used the airlock protocol myself on several occasions in the past, I knew Gary was starting to question whether he should have shared his truth with me. I would go and check, but I get space sick if I walk around inside a ship, so I only do that on planet surfaces and inside stations, I lied. So do you know what happened to the real moon? I asked in an attempt to get Gary off the subject of blowing me out the airlock.
Oh yeah? Well, nobody knows for sure. But I heard that we gave it to the Thargoids in exchange for our FSD technology.
So it happened quite recently then?
Oh, for sure. It was within the last few years that this happened. One day, in the middle of the night, they took it away and replaced it with hologram emitters.
What he said about FSD made me think, and I asked, so you're saying that frameshift drive isn't a human technology?
No, it's totally Thargoid. It's the same with lots of things. I took a passenger out to a Guardian site last week, and there was a ring of Earth which was so perfectly circular that we don't even have the technology to make something like that today. Just proves that humans used to know a lot of stuff which has since been forgotten.
So I had to ask. But I thought the Guardians were an ancient, highly advanced technological non-human race.
But that's exactly what they want you to believe. The Guardians were actually the alien-assisted Egyptian civilization.
Are we nearly there yet?
Yeah, Anunnaki built that.
Is there any evidence for any of this? I queried.
You mean, on top of the fact that the moon isn't there, and that we know less about science stuff now than the ancient Egyptians did?
I replied.
Well, how do you think the pyramids of Giza were capable of sustaining a nuclear fusion reaction?
I don't?
They got to you, man. They got to you. You probably even believe that the Earth is a globe.
I considered the fact that I was at the mercy of Commander Keith to deliver me safely to the planet so I could fail my mission again. So I laughed nervously and assured him I had an open mind.
Well, good to see you're not a sheep. Me and my friends like to meet up on Friday nights and plan expeditions to Antarctic to see the ice wall for ourselves. I've got friends who live on the moon, and they say they've seen Earth looking like a disc many times.
I couldn't help but challenge that. But I thought you said the moon doesn't exist. He thought silently for a moment, and then...
You have got to keep up, man. They lived on the moon before it was given to the Thargoids. They all died when the moon moved. so you can't interview them. All their evidence went with them too.
Okay, just another 50k's in here with this guy, and then I can get back to getting shot in the face by someone I haven't even seen yet. So, any plans for later, Greg?
And then there's the 5000G transmitters they're putting up everywhere. I mean, those things have been proven to cause paranoia. I have heard that the frequencies don't have any effect on lizards. Bit suspicious if you ask me. When you combine that with all the obvious chemtrailing that gets done outside stations, it all makes sense.
I kinda stopped listening to him around about this point, as he bounced wildly from conspiracy theory to conspiracy theory. I turned my mind to the mission ahead of me and tried to brace myself for the sudden drop in frame rate which I had come to associate with Odyssey. The world needs heroes. Hopefully there are some. Somewhere. But it's not me. Simon kept wittering on about various other things, including a version of the Da Vinci Code. I resolved to humour him by nodding periodically while he was talking, and after what felt like an eon, we finally made planetfall on whatever planet of death this was.
Thanks for choosing Apex.